Dear influential leaders, movers and shakers, we are so happy to welcome a new week with a new episode of the Influential Executive Podcast. Have you watched the movie The Secret or read the business Bible Think and Grow Rich? In today's episode, our guest, quantum physics expert and self-made millionaire, shares with you the simple steps to creating the life of your dreams. Lenka and Alexander, founders of Earn More Work Less, are here, full of energy and positivity.
Yes.
When people ask us, what is it that we do? Well, we simply call ourselves human growth hackers. We help all influential leaders and fast-growing, ambitious businesses to spot their biggest opportunity for growth. Together, we develop a strategy and implement the systems you need to achieve your goals better and faster, so you get more clients on board and deliver high-quality services, so you earn more and work less. We help you to create a business of your dreams.
We're all about synergy, exploring the unknown, about leadership and growth hacking. And that's why we bring you the #1 podcast for leaders who want to grow their influence and positive impact. For all leaders who have an open mind and want to learn. Every week we come with a new episode in which we interview world-class influencers who are very successful because they do what others can't do, won't do, or don't know how to do. They step into the unknown and embrace the uncertain. You know that nothing is impossible once you set your mind to it and surround yourself with the right people. Our guests, they live on purpose. They do what they love most and inspire many people. And if they can do it, so can you! Our mission is to help you create your dream life, create more freedom and wealth to do what you love. We all want more time to enjoy different life experiences, and we show you how to achieve your goals faster and create more freedom.
Have you checked out our Facebook page? Wow, 10,000 followers on our page. Well, how did we accomplish this? When you decide to inspire others, then one of the first steps is to build your brand awareness. Simply said, people must know that you exist and who you are. For this reason, we partnered up with amazing social media experts from Blackpool Marketing. They run our social media campaigns for this podcast, and they are outstanding at finding high quality leads, so that we invest in our marketing as effectively as possible. At the end of this podcast, we will share with you how you too can cooperate with these guys.
Okay, so this episode is one of a kind. At the end, we didn't even want to stop recording because there was simply so much value and practical tips that we all can start applying right now. In this episode, we had the amazing opportunity to interview Carisa Jones, quantum physics expert and mentor to leaders who want to create a wealthy and abundant life. Under the name Receive Joy, she and her partner Sylvia Lehman are the first people ever to write a book with only positive words in it. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
We've all heard about the power of attraction, and most of us have read Think and Grow Rich. But how many of us really made the strong and everlasting decision to follow through and apply these principles in their own life every day, again and again and again? Only few people have the discipline and faith to continue applying these principles, and they know that their askings will manifest in material life. Carisa did. And she explains exactly which habits you can adopt to make use of these powerful laws of nature. Her results? An abundant life and 2,000 successful clients who've stayed with her throughout their entire lives. We are fortunate to interview our good friend Carisa because she doesn't spend much time online.
No.
Normally, when people want to speak to her, they travel to her home, knock on her door, and patiently wait until she's available. So enjoy this moment and get inspired by Carisa Jones.
I give you the advice to stay on the victory. Keep your eyes on the victory. So if any moment you're back in the battle with any of your energy field, then you're not on the victory. So
keep your eye on the victory.
yes, and that's when it happens. That's the only possibility, because then you're victorious. So often we get in the day-to-day battle, and so just check on yourselves that you're in that victory.
Yeah, exactly. It's very human. We get pulled in very easily.
Oh yeah, our mind is so happy it goes everywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can only stay on the one possibility, and when you stay on that one victory possibility, the victory is yours. So
exactly, and part of
all
that
right.
is to have a very clearly defined victory.
Yes. And then that you speak of the victory as you're walking towards it constantly. So I am the owner of. I'm so grateful I am the owner of. I'm so grateful that I am the guidance to this company, whichever company you're going for. And when you speak that constantly, even if you're just jumping on your mini tramp or taking a walk, and you say it over and over for your sake, that you're ingraining it into you, then there's that possibility that eventually you'll believe it and you'll stay in the victory. So we're talking to ourselves and to the universe. And so just like when I just downloaded this little thing, the first time I hit the button, I didn't get through. So I did it a second time. I did it a third time. And you're programming, and then you get the result. So that's the same thing that for you too. Keep programming and you'll get the result. The universe will hear you. Sometimes it's the programming. So do it a few times.
You mentioned the universe will hear you, and that reminds me of the time that we met. Because how we met was actually a very special set of coincidences.
Right.
Who knows? We were at this huge seminar in Los Angeles, and you are not from Los Angeles. You actually flew in all the way from Florida.
Right.
You flew in all the way from the Netherlands. So there we were in Los Angeles, November 2017, during one of the lunch breaks in that seminar. And somehow we ended up at the same lunch table. And I think Lenka.
Yeah, well, it was the magical place. It was Disneyland, right? Where
Yeah.
magic happened. And there we were. I remember clearly you, Alexander, went for sandwiches. And I sat down together with another friend of ours, Brian, at the table. And there was this lady sitting with a book. And across to her was a man. And they were discussing. And it was something about positive words and speaking only positive way. And I remember that I looked at Carisa and I said, well, I think that you will fall in love with my husband. Because I remember I said it to you and you started to laugh and you were like, oh, that's interesting. And there you were coming. And we were discussing actually the cover of your book, which is beautiful angel formed from clouds, from beautiful white clouds. So that's
Yes, as I remember. Yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun because it was a big, long table, and there was room at the end of the table. And we too went outside like you and said, "Oh, we just want to sit a little bit in the sun because we've been in the conference and there's no sunshine in there." And so this table, we said, we'll go to the first table that has the beautiful sun. And this long table was there, and it was in the sun. And it was a cool day, so it was nice to be in the sun. And it was just beautiful. So we sat down and we go, oh, we'll leave more room because there'll be other people. And then Lenka came in and we're like, yes, this is so wonderful. Yeah, to share our lunch experience. And here we're sharing our lives now.
Yeah. And since then, I've never seen you again. The two of you disappeared and you were in these secret conversations about the universe and how everything works. And I remember that at a certain moment I was sitting in a conference and Alexander was just texting me, yes, I know I am a little bit late and I will come soon. And in the end, it took like 4 hours. And he was all shining. It's like, oh, finally someone understood what I was talking about. And we had such a nice conversation. It was so amazing to see that.
And I also remember...
It's just a blessing.
I remember that you also had a very special explanation for how this meeting happened. How some invisible force brought us together, or invisible power, I should say.
That's right. So the beautiful explanation is that when humanity or any being has particles, we actually have particles, and when we're going through in this universal space, we tend to find people with matching particles. And so when we have enough matching particles, we come together. And in that moment, if you actually spend time with people with your matching particles, you either get married or you have friendships, so the friendships last. You have a lot in common. And that it's so fun to have this opportunity to have matching particles and then experience it, because it's as if you've known them for a long time. These are the words that people use. It's we just get along. It could be 10 years we haven't seen each other. The minute we get back, we get right into it. That's when you actually, from your birthright, and we can look at it many different ways. And one way is through the playing cards. And I love it because we actually know that in the playing card, the deck of playing cards, you've got 52 cards. There's 52 weeks in the year. You've got 4 seasons, 4 different types, the hearts, the diamonds, the clubs, the spades. You've got numbers so that we know that an ace, it can be high or low, but in the case of this, an ace is a 1. So if a person has ace cards in their hand, they can be doing things alone. Other people have 2s and 4s. 4 is like a table where you've got stability, the 4 legs. The interesting thing is if you're 4, people put a lot of things on your kitchen table, right? Every time you walk in, your purse goes there, your keys, everything gets laid down. So you have to be aware that what are your numbers? And then we also have inner personalities and outer personalities. And what's interesting with that is inner personalities are great. They're thinkers. The idea, though, is you want to get out there and do things. So you find doers. And that's where you and I are attracted, because I'm an inner personality and you're an outer personality, Alexander. And when we're doing it's so fun to be with a complementary force, so that it'd be interesting. And I love this example. If you had 2 sets of people, you had all the outers in the room and the inners in the other side of the room, they would be so busy planning the activity. The outers would be up on stage figuring out how to do it, right? And in the end, the outers would have it done because they're already on the stage. So when we mix groups together, you want to make sure you've got inner personalities and outer personalities, because the inners can help with the planning and the outers will actually execute and make it happen.
Yeah.
So when I really understood all this, and this is where Brian, he's part of our group, and we had an opportunity to get together in Colorado and speak. Once you can understand who you are and you understand those around you, what's so beautiful is then you can have this wonderful lifetime interaction, and you can respect where everybody is and how they're operating. And in that moment, great things really, really happen. Because forever you're complimenting each other instead of saying, why don't they understand me? And I love the compliments. So when you can have a complimentary relationship with each other, that's what's so fun. And the universe is there to help us constantly have that complementary relationship in everything we do, if we just take a few moments and learn what our particles are, our individual particles. So at one point, we'll all do that together, and I'll go through and show each of you what your particles are, so that you can say, wow, now I know how, when I'm around, what my particles are like, and how I'm attracting other particles, and then how I can appreciate and encourage in their space other people with their personalities, and meet them just where they are, and encourage them just where they are, because that's really true friendship, that's true leadership, that's true sharing.
Right. So what you mean is that in your interaction with other people, it's very important to accept them for who they are, where they are in the moment, because only when you accept other people for where they are, that's when you get to actually connect and create something together.
That's right. And you can then you can use their strength, and I say that in a beautiful way. When you come together, you can, when we encourage the person's strength, that's usually the complement to yours. So you want to encourage them to stay in their strength, and you to encourage yourself to stay in your strength, and that's when great teams can happen. And first you got to recognize your strength and recognize their strength. And then you can encourage them and keep them right into that strength. So I so enjoyed, that was part of the two of you sitting next to us. And it was great because since let's see, Sylvie was with me and Vilma, we've known each other for a long time. And Keith was there when we were at lunch, and we were, that's part of the socializing, that we were enjoying each other's strengths. And really, in a room, you can sit down in a room full of 100 people, and you can just watch, and you can start seeing those strengths, and you can say, all right, that would be a compliment to my strength. And that was part of sitting down with you and saying, okay, universe. And it was funny because we were sitting shoulder to shoulder, Alexander, after Lenka had said, you'll really enjoy my husband. And so here I laugh because out of the 4,000 people in the room, we're sitting shoulder to shoulder. And I understand that my prior asking was that people come to me, and I find a 1% that our particles will work really great together. So that was part of my prior asking. So that was the fun when you said that too, Lenka. Oh, you're really going to enjoy my husband. I said, of course I'm really going to enjoy my husband, because I already pre-ordered. The people sitting next to me at the table are going to love the sunshine, and we're going to speak about sunshine. Yeah, the sunshine in our lives, right.
Carisa, you speak a lot about creating your own world and creating your own reality. And you just mentioned one very important thing, and that is asking. Mm-hmm. Can you explain to all of our listeners, what do you mean by it was included in my askings?
All right. So it's very interesting. In the Bible, we use the word, it's been used many times, prayer and petition. And petitioning, when people went before God, went before the power of the universe, they would actually get to the point where they went and they would be in sackcloth or simple clothing, and they would sit quietly. They might be fasting, so that their focus was totally on the moment. They weren't busy preparing dinner. They weren't washing dishes. They were fasting, and they were in a prayer with petitioning, and petitioning is asking. And so the universe molecules, the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen that floats around is free. It's all around us. Water is H2O. The air, we've got the hydrogen floating around. The idea is those molecules come in play. They come in play when a person is asking. So when a human being stands in a consciousness, all molecules around us, we call it, where they're influenced. If we're the scientist, if we stand there and we want something to happen, an outcome, we're influencing the experiment. Well, our life is our experiment. And when we have a huge desire, we're influencing these molecules around us. And so when we say asking or petitioning or in supplication, the idea is prayer, petition, and supplication is mentioned over and over in the Bible. The petitioning is the opportunity for us to actually engage in the movement of molecules. So the scientific part of me is here to explain that when a human being is present, you're influencing the experiment, you're influencing your moment, you're influencing your life. So we call it focus, absolute focus. That's part of what we together have been talking about. When you have that absolute focus, we were just mentioning your eye on the victory versus being in the battle. So when the molecules understand that you have an absolute human focus, so the field is a wonderful explanation, and in it they talk about flipping a coin. And out of 100 flips of the coin, if you keep saying heads, 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 for all 100 flips, 52 or more of the flips will be heads. So it's as simple as going to Vegas, right? If you say, and I did this experiment, if I say I'm going to win, 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 and you go in with that much confidence and your eye is always on the win, you're going to win. So it's just nature. Nature is influenced by human. We're the highest creature. We're God's chosen creation. It's interesting, as the highest creature, we have the most influence on the molecules. So asking, and in the form of knocking 3 times, we talk about speak it, write it down, think the thought. So you think it, you speak it, you write it down. That's a 3-pack asking. And when you're that serious, things happen in the universe. So when I have my children, it was when they were young, it was very cute. They would run by and say, Mom, I'd like this. And then they'd run out the door. And if they never came back, I was like, okay, that was the thought that just came in and ran out the door. It was cute because I'd have clients and I knew they'd get serious when they knock on my door and they've asked once verbally. So they thought the thought, they asked it, and then they write a little note. And under my door, because I knew they couldn't interrupt the session, they would slip the little written note. And they would sit outside the door. So I know that they're really serious because they're going to stay there until they get an answer. So now they're present, you see. So this is part of our asking, Lanka. When you stay in the moment, they didn't leave my door. They sat on the other side of the door waiting for the note to be answered. For me either to pass another note under the door with an explanation, or they'll sit there till the session is over. So when you get that determined, and you were talking about in business, when you get that determined with your client, if you get that determined with whatever you're doing, the universe says, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to show up. This person's going to sit there outside my door.
Wow.
So when we stay in our asking, when we stay in our vision, when we stay with a focus, like my child sitting out the door, writing the note down, expecting the outcome, not running in one door, out the other. In our lives, we tend to have great big visions that we want to ask for, and then we leave. So what we mean is then we go grocery shopping, and then we go to the gym, and then the phone rings, and then the text goes, and then so we're not in our vision anymore. We're not sitting outside our own door waiting for it to happen. We're so busy being busy that when we say stay in the victory, stay in your dream. So why scientifically, when you make an asking, should you stay in it? And we say for over 1.5 minutes. Why do you stay in it? I'd like to say till it happens. Stay in it because we become the witness. And now again, in the science field, we understand that the molecules do whatever they want. They're on vacation, right? We're asleep. All the air around us is just on vacation. The minute we sit up in bed and gain our consciousness and we stay with our vision, today, this is what's the first thing on my agenda. When we stay with it, right, it happens. If your agenda was written and it lays there, it's like the child coming in and out the door. So molecules, when they are witnessed, can form into anything you wish. So when I say to the two of you, we were talking about a client right before we're starting here. When you're going to talk about your clients, you also stay in the game. So, oh, this client is going to be so wonderful when we do this. And now you're visualizing this. Mm-hmm. And this client, it's going to be so helpful when we tell them that. And then you're staying in it. And then we're all going to go on a picnic on Saturday together, or out to dinner on Saturday night together. And we're going to get to know each other. Isn't that going to be wonderful? And then we're going to exchange phone numbers. And then we're going to give them these podcasts to listen to. And then we're going to do this with them. And when you start building the dream, mm-hmm. and you stay in it, and it can be as ridiculous as, oh, I'm going to go online, I'm going to look up their website, and I'm going to just see what I could envision helping them with. Or I'm going to learn the products they sell. And then I'm going to ask them questions about their products. And then I'm going to do, so you see, when you stay in the dream for more than 1.5 minutes, because usually it's like, okay, that's it, the client, you give them the phone call, and then you got the next thing on your agenda. When you stay in it, the molecules have to show up. And they have to start doing your dream. So the asking becomes simple. And we talked about this, and you might share, when I first gave you a workbook, and it was a workbook for your asking intentions. Mm-hmm. And you said this to me, Lanka, you said, oh, doing it every day. And it's a 5 or 10 minute process, right? You're like, do we really have to do it every day? And it's fun. And I laughed and I said, well, if you'd really like consistent things to happen for you, exactly as you wish, you would do it every day. And you will do it every day because the universe likes to be programmed, and it's really only you who can stay in your dream, right? Because it's your dream. So unless you hire somebody and you say, I want your thoughts to just be praying over this one situation, And that's why in the Bible too, the Jewish people would gather the Jews and they would say, all of you fast and stay in prayer for this weekend while I'm intending this with this intention. So you can hire people. Sometimes we have an assistant, right? And you say, keep dialing the number till the person answers.
Yeah.
Now you've hired an assistant to stay in your dream for you. So a human energy where two or more come together. So you can have an assistant, the two of you have each other in your business. So if you're busy on the phone or with a client, Lanka, you could say, Alexander, make this happen, keep working on this, or vice versa. And the same with Sylvia and I. That's why we work as partnership. And when we were learning business training, all of us together, you too saw that it really works well when you got a partner in your business. And that partner then can stay in that client, with that client or with that vision. If you have to go out to dinner with your spouse or you have to do this. So staying in the vision becomes one of the most important things that we can do. And because we're human, get a second energy in staying when you have to go to the bathroom, when you have to go shopping, when you have to do your daily life, go in with your kids, or somebody should stay in the vision, stay in the victory. And so our asking becomes so important because first we have to know what we are asking. And if you journal it, it becomes pretty miraculous when you journal because number one, you can edit it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we start saying, how do I even put this on paper? And then you say, oh, this is what I'd like to add to it. So now you're staying in your vision. Oh, why I want this to happen is I have to pay my mortgage. That's why I want this client. So you put that down, right? And then you say, oh, what else I would like is it would be, I so enjoy these people. I love their personality and they're my neighbors. So you can put that on your why. So you have an asking and then you make it real, it becomes real when you stay in it. So here, and I use this example and it's fun that we're filming this. And this is so great because now Father's Day in America is in June and it just happened yet again. So a couple of years ago, my children came to me and they said, Mom, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'd like you to give me some money in your car because we want to go buy chocolate. I said, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm a health food person. What do you mean you want to go buy chocolate at 11 o'clock at night? You want me to give you $20? So I said, why? And their answer was, because tomorrow's Father's Day and Dad likes chocolate chip cookies. And that's the one thing he likes the most for Father's Day. So guess what? With the one explanation of why all the particles and molecules moved, I gave them the car and the $20, right? And they went. Well, it was just, again, it's summertime here. So again, in June, the same thing came up. They said, Mom, we're going in the middle of the night, to go buy chocolate at the 24-hour store. And so I laughed and I said, yep, tomorrow's Father's Day, right? They said, absolutely. We're baking those cookies. So again, I gave them the $20, right? And they can take the car and go. Now they can drive themselves and they have their own car. The fun was it happened right in front of my eyes again. And the second time it happened, I really didn't have to say why. I knew the why. So the second time, once we've set the platform up to the universe, guess what? The universe knows your why. So the first time when we're giving the why, we're programming the universe. Just as I was speaking of a minute before when we were setting up this podcast and I had to install, the first time I hit it, I wasn't quite sure. And I actually asked you, is that all I have to do is hit the button or hit the link? And you said, yeah, just hit the link and then accept. Lenka said, and then make sure you say accept. So I hit it the first time, right? But I didn't accept it. So do you see it? After the steps are properly taken, then you get the result. So sometimes we've gone almost to the edge, but we haven't jumped in. So when you stay in your dream, when you stay in your vision, when you stay in your asking, you got all the buttons hit, and then this can happen, and we can actually have our meeting together. So the asking and the journaling, and Lanka, I'd like you to explain how it got easier when you did the first little page. Oh, it was a little bit difficult. And then you're saying, do I have to do this every day? And then now it becomes daily, weekly, and pretty soon you're excited to do it, right?
The morning routine becomes one big joy like this, because it's all about being disciplined. The only thing you need in your life is to
have the discipline to actually do that and have the faith in the process. So when we talk, Carisa, I mean, for me, it was like I can either listen to someone who obviously has used it and has a huge benefit throughout the whole life, because you are using it every single day, and that's what you also show and teach your clients. So I said, okay, let's just give it a try. And every morning I'm getting into this nice grateful mode, and I am journaling. And suddenly, at the beginning, it seemed like so much work, and where will I get the imagination from? And suddenly there are so many things that I could write on a piece of paper, and most of the time I don't have even enough space. So I just keep writing, and there are not enough lines for me. So I would need actually more lines. And at the end of the day, when I have to look back at what I've achieved, there are so many things, so many little things that I can appreciate. So it taught me so much about how to appreciate small things, how to be more grateful, how to pull myself into, let's say, positive mindset, only because of this very simple morning routine that at first seems huge, and at the end is 10-15 minutes, but you're really focused on what you're creating in your life. And one question that I had related to this is that for people who have seen The Secret or who have read Think and Grow Rich, there the askings are structured in a very strict way. There are specific elements to the asking. What is important to include in such an asking? Because you structure it as what is it that you want and why. Are those the only two elements that I have to think of while writing down and speaking my askings?
Well, the very first element is when you jot down your asking, then check that all the words are positive. So that's the most important part of the asking, is that it's and when you write, the fun is that we can edit it. So when we speak, just like we're speaking now, if we went back and we could say, oh, is every single word that we said positive, we could probably most likely edit some things. When you have it in front of you in writing, that's why we're speaking of a little journal, and I put together a one-pager, and the idea is start with 5 minutes. Even if you put one little word in every box, you've started the process to the universe. Just like the first time I clicked on the button, I started saying, oh, okay, I'm learning about how to download this. And then I went back and I clicked 2 buttons, right? And when I accepted it with the second button, then it worked. So the first time you might just start, like you said, in the box is simple. You do a gratitude message. So why do we start with gratitude? When you start and you're happy and you're smiling and you're laughing and you're feeling good, then that emotional vibration is going to start coming into the page or into the moment or into the asking. So we start just being happy for anything, as simple as my tea I'm drinking this morning, or water, or your husband, or your neighbor, or this great beautiful day. So the fact is, if you could come up with 1, 2, 3, your own eyes, your own nose, anything you can be grateful for, an opportunity for you travel a lot, and you're getting all this travel and international travel even, and just international travel might be fun for the two of you. So clients, your great business that you're building, of course you're thankful for that. So as we just see, there's more than one thing a day you can be grateful for. And that, like you said, the lines, not even enough lines to contain it on one page. So you start with a gratitude message just to get your vibrational field up. And we know that matching vibration comes together. So the happier we are, the more matching vibrations come together. Then after we've got that happiness going on and the gratitude flowing, then we start with, and I look at it very interesting. We start with 5 little askings, very simple. And those 5 little askings are things that each of us can do so simply as a 10-star experience. So I call it the sticky note, and in there's a little box the size of a sticky note in the journal, and you can write it just on a sticky note. And it's 5 simple things you're going to do today, like us getting together now on this call. That's one of my 5 things today. And when I'm going to think of that one little thing, right, I'm going to say, gosh, if I pray over it the night before and I think about it and consider it, then I wake up and I know I'm going to do this. And then as I'm plugging in my computer, I can pray a third time. It's very simple. I know I can do that. I know I can turn my computer on. It's very simple, and I can talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I can do that. And that's one of my askings. So I have 5 of those simple askings, and they can be going to the grocery store. The idea is to make it a 10-star experience, right? To make it a 10-star experience, we talked about a good time. That was one thing that made it a 10-star experience, so that we could all be together. The second thing was that I'd have a computer with me. So I have my computer and the cord so that it's plugged in so we can go a whole hour together. So do you see, just by taking a moment to pray over it and think over it, I can make sure I can have it as a 10-star experience. Simple as I list in the book is going to the grocery store. Here in America, I like taking my bags with me. I like to have comfortable tennis shoes on. I like to have a little overcoat or jacket if I'm in the freezer section, because they make the store quite chilly. I enjoy taking my friends with me to the store, or meeting a friend there and having a cup of tea. At Whole Foods, you can have lunch or tea. So sometimes we say, okay, we'll meet over there, and then we'll both do our shopping and sit down in the air conditioning and have a cup of tea after. So there's ways that if you just give one extra moment of thought to it, you can turn an experience or a daily, let's call it a task, into a wonderful, fun thing to do. So those little 5 things can become this 10-star experience. Now there's another box on the other side of the page that says, I ask with intention for, or I ask with focus for. Now that is the God side of the page, or the universe side of the page, and that's bigger stuff. So for you in your business, you're going to put these great clients in that side, right? So that's where we're saying, wow me with the how, God. Those are huge things. Those are things that are fun, that are whims, that start off as just a thought. And the how is up to God. How the universe is going to present that, we leave that totally to the universe. So the little teeny box with the 5 are things like, I have a computer and I have friends and we can get together. The big things are like taking a stock price and saying that my retirement account is going to have this much money in it, okay? That's a big thing, and that you're just jotting down. It's interesting because once you jot that down, the universe, by command, because you're human and you have the power, now it has an asking, and it has to come up with a matching answer. So I remember, the how is up to the universe. This could be something that you're asking for in 10 years or in 5 minutes. The idea is, once we've written it down, we can kind of get it off our heart and our chest, and then we put it out there to the universe. So we're focusing on our 5 little things. The universe is focusing on that list. Like you're saying, at first you're like, well, can I put in all those lines, those 8 lines or whatever it is on the page? 8 big things a day I should just think of and put out there. Yeah, 8 big things a day. And what's fun is when some of those whoppers come real, you're like, wow, I'm glad I just jotted that down and put it out there. So the idea is, when we put it, and it's nice because we have the little journal that we can put it in, asking you shall receive, or any journal that you have, is you're collecting your ideas in one place. And I encourage you that every little sticky note or every little business card, and say, someday that guy's going to be my partner. Tape it in your book. Tape it in your book. If you have a little picture that somebody mailed you of the family or whatever, you want to pray over them or you want to bless them, tape it in your book. If you get a greeting card and there's a nice saying and every word's positive, cut out the saying. You don't have to save the whole greeting card or cut the name of the person who signed it. Tape it in your book. These become our blessings. And when you open the book and it's got so many wonderful little pieces in it, when I bless it and pray over it, I'm praying over everybody in the book. And it's real interesting. I call it my prayer book too, right? Because it's everything that's kind of collected in my mind and my heart for those months. And then I just put with a marker on the binder the year, the months in the year, and then I can put them all in a little section, and you've got many years on your bookshelf. And I take those books down every 10 years and I see how much has come true in my life. And it was simply because I'm a professional asker. So when people say, Carisa, how did you get more than I have 10 years later, 20 years later in life? I said, it's very simple. We're the same people. I just ask every single day.
you're a Christian, you're a metaphysician as well, you're in business as well. With the Influential Executive podcast, we speak a lot about business and leadership, and often it's about these physical strategies and tactics that you can employ to influence people. Where you go much deeper into the non-material world, look at the building blocks, look at the rules by which it operates, and use that to your advantage. And whereas many people would disregard it as wooey or too far from my bed, you're actually here living proof, living in integrity with these principles, having the discipline to apply it, and you get massive results because you live a majorly wealthy life. You get so much of what you asked for, and thereby you set an example for us and many other leaders out there to open their minds to this non-physical realm and dare to live in integrity with this and see what it brings you. So with this wealthy life that you created for yourself, you told us about your beautiful home, beautiful lake house, beautiful family, clients from all over the place coming there to knock your door. Because actually we are very fortunate to speak with you online, because typically you don't go online that much, I understood.
Yes. So that's a great thought. So when you're that connected to the universe is there to help us. So let's take this in a macro example. So if we're out there in the universe floating around, right, in the galaxies, and we think of trying to swim against any of that, because they just turn and they flow. What if we just decided there's a lot of power out there? And if we were to harness a little of that power just for a moment, and we let our minds go there to harness that power, and we jump on and we just enjoy that flow, whoa, our lives would be light and easy. And so for me, I just said, wow, that's where the power is. So instead of getting lost in our little micro life day, let's just open our hearts and our minds to the macro of that, the cosmos, that entire experience. There's so much power. And as a kid, I always stayed to saying, wow, it's like if you're riding that wave, if you're riding the galaxies and you're just floating along, they're in constant movement and they're constantly expanding. So the wealth, let's call it the wealth of that power, is expanding and more and more and more and greater. So if we understand that, wow, the possibilities are continual. And then this is the second thing that I will really, if I could get the humanity to understand this even a little bit, it would change everybody's life completely. We are not competing for anything. We have an opportunity to create everything. So if people say, oh, I didn't get that job, create a new one in your mind, in your heart, and stay with the victory. Everything is. That's why you hear the examples of somebody going out for a job of 400 applicants and they come home with the job. What you could have just said, I'm going for the one job that's just for me and it is going to be there and I'm going to have it. We love to bring in this whole 400 other applicant thing. We love to compete against ourselves. It's the most hilarious thing. I go through life and say, it is only for me, and everybody else can create as much as they want. The building blocks, the dough is sitting there, it's free. The carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. Whatever I can trump up and dream in my little mind and write it down, think the thought, speak the word, and write it down, I can have whenever I want it. So the idea is, when we move ourselves onto the victory of our own creation power, then there's no competition with we don't lose anything. You only have more. You can have everything you can dream up. So if we could shift into the victory, and I love the simple story of David and Goliath in the biblical story. And there's little David who's 14, and all his bigger brothers and the king, they're all ready. The Israelites are the trained up army, and they're standing there and the Philistines on the other side of this huge valley. And some dude comes down named Goliath every single morning and night for 40 days. So 80 breaths he takes and yells, "Can anybody stand up to me? Can anybody fight me? Will you, will you? And we'll do this little deal. If your side wins, we'll become your slaves. And if our side wins, then we'll become your slaves. So you'll become if we win, and the opposite." So isn't it wonderful? Here we go. You've got the battle's only with one guy's mouth. And now you got everybody's minds involved. And so the Israelites are shaking in their boots mentally, shaking. And the king even says, if anybody would go and stand in front of him, I'll give them my daughter. So now they're going to be able to live in the palace, and they're going to be supported and eat whatever they want and dance and drink and all this. And I'll pay you, and I'll give. And out of all the soldiers, nobody will take the offer, right? Because some guy who happens to be 9 feet tall or bigger is standing in a valley blabbing his tongue. This is how powerful words are. So little David, who's out with the sheep, 14 years old, they suspect somewhere around there, who's never heard any of the blabbing and all that, comes to bring his brothers some goat's milk and some honey and some bread that was baked. And he hears the blabbing just once. And he says, "What is with all of you people here? Some guy blabs his mouth and you're all shaking?" And so the king says, "Oh, will you go in front of him?" And David says, "What will you give me?" And he says, my daughter in marriage, and you can live in the palace, and money and fame and blah, 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 blah. And then the king wants to give David his armor, and David puts it on. He can't walk, and the big sword. And David said, "Oh, please, I've got the power of the universe. I've got the king of Israel," he says. "That's going to be my backing. I know how to use the molecules." So as David walks forward, it's very interesting, because just like, and he says, "You can keep your armor," because the universe, the cosmos is way more powerful than your sword, than your armor. So he goes forward with he bends down, picks up 3 little stones, has his slingshot that he always says. He says, "You know what? If I've killed a bear that was trying to get my sheep, and I've killed a lion that tried to get him, I think I can take this guy down too, the same way I did those." So simple. So he bends down with total faith. See, he walks forward in one thing he had, total faith, 100% confidence, because he knows the power. He knows the power that his God, through the whole universe that was set up to give power, it's there. And he says, "I know how to use it. I've used it twice before. I can use it a third time." So he goes, right? And as he's walking to the blabbing guy down there in the valley, he says, now he's doing his asking, his declaration. "As of this day, you are mine." Because I'm using the power of the king of Israel, who owns the entire universe. And I'm going to walk right up here. And he says, your body will go to the birds, and your head will go to, with me. And he's declaring as he's walking there to Goliath. And it's so simple, because when he gets there, he shoots him in the stone, takes the guy down, grabs his big sword, cuts his head off, does exactly as he declared in his little book. He just did it verbally. We write it down in the morning. And as his askings were, and his speech was declared, he had that 100% confidence. He chose to use the power, not of the sword of the king or the armor. He chose to use the power of the universe, the molecules. And he used his tongue and his own asking, just like Goliath was scaring everybody with his own tongue. And he walked forth with the same force, except he used the asking of the universe, the power of the entire, the living God. And he used it with him as he walked. And he kept his eye on one thing, the victory. He never thought of the 80 times that man made everybody shake. He thought of this one moment, that he is going to create something. And he's declaring his asking as he walked forth into the situation. I'd prefer that we created the night before. He was 14, we're a little older, right? So he did it in the moment. That's what 14-year-olds do, it's perfect. As we get older, it's nice to have that moment, like we say, to ask either in the morning first thing or ask. So he made it all happen from leaving the hillside to go down to the valley. He made his asking and his declaration very, very clear. He spoke it forth. He had 100% confidence. He used the power of the whole universe, the power of the living God of Israel, and that's how he went forward. So it's really interesting if we were to go through our life just using that one example. His eye was on the victory. He never said like the other guy, I don't know if I'm going to make it. What if that client doesn't, give me the contract? Did he say any of that? That did not cross his mind. So if we could stay in the victory long enough to plan it, oh, that's going to be sweet. Oh, I'm going to have all this cool stuff. Talk to me. And when he was up with the king, he said, what else can I have? What else can I have? He stayed in the dream. So what else? Then what? Then what else? And he stayed in him, and he made that vision, that dream, so big and real, more than 30 seconds, and then go grocery shopping or answer your text message. He stayed in it. And when he was in it with that confidence, and he pulled in the power of the entire universe, he only needed 3 little teeny stones, a slingshot, and his bare feet, or little sandals. That's what he walked in. So we can go forth the same way. And I have been an example. That's what I'm here speaking to people about. I've done it the same way. It worked for Daniel. It worked for David. It worked for Esther. It worked for Abraham. This is how it worked in all the Bible. And it's very interesting, I'm coming from a biblical perspective, is that when you look at how rich the people in the Bible were, you just be in awe. Esther got half the kingdom, the biggest kingdom at that time ever known to man. So she came from being her parents were killed, so she was an orphan living with her uncle, to owning half the kingdom. And still in divorce today, the wife and the husband, if they've been married long enough, half the kingdom. You get half the wealth. In America, that's how it still is. So and David went, right, and he just got richer and richer and richer. Daniel went away to Babylon. He was captured, went to Babylon. He was the many kings' right-hand man. Mm-hmm. And so he was living in the palace and receiving all the benefits that the right-hand man would have, second in line for wealth. And so you look at this, and you look at Abraham, and I was reading the Dead Sea Scrolls and the account of how wealthy Abraham is. He had 1,200 servants in his home, 1,200 servants, and 300 trained military professionals that he was given when he left his captivity. And Noah built that boat in his backyard, and in America, it's fun. We have this museum, and they rebuilt the ark with the same gopher wood, just like it was. It cost $100 million to build that boat, and they just finished it like 2 years ago. $100 million, and that was just his project in the backyard. He had to have a backyard big enough to make the project. So think about the asking these people had. They asked very big. They asked with total confidence. They harnessed the power of the universe. It wasn't like, I've got to figure out how I'm going to get this boat in my backyard the way we would. Let's get the metrics out. Let's figure out what it's going to cost in advance. It's amazing. They started with the victory and stayed with the victory. And all the details in their heart, they knew would work out. So if we can just do that together, and we can focus on the victory, knowing in our hearts that the details will work themselves out. If we have compelling whys, we want the boat in our backyard. Why do we want our business to succeed? Why do we want a great retirement account? Why do we want great stock prices? Why do we ask for children to be healthy? Why are we asking for our great strength and knowledge and mobility and wisdom? Why are we asking for our beautiful lives connected to our creators? Isn't it amazing that we have this creation power available to us? So I love to say, creator of all that is, this is my asking. It's amazing when we stay in our askings, and we joyfully stay in our askings with confidence, and we understand that there's something maybe that I understand different than possibly a lot of the population. That prior to humanity coming to the universe or coming to the earth, it was already set up with rules, laws, absolutes. And I love the word absolutes. In the next book, Connect to the Light versus Ask and You Receive, right? The next one here is going to show us the playing field. So there was a playing field set up for us before humanity became humanity. And even all creation happens within these absolutes. And so one of the absolutes is creation happens when asking has come forth. So in the Bible, God says, let there be light. And when he declared it, when he asked for the light, then light came. He asked that the land would be divided from the water. The first page of the Bible, he used his words, he spoke it, he asked it. He said, let the land be the land and the water to be divided into the water, and it was so. And then he asked for there to be fish and fowl and creatures walking on the earth. He spoke it into existence. So we are co-creators with God. We are the only creatures on this earth who can speak words. So when you say, Manka, how important is that asking with words? It is total creation power. Total creation power. So the secret you mentioned, the secret mentions that our thoughts are attractors, and they are great attractors, and the universe can read our thoughts. The idea, though, is our words are total creators. So the creation power trumps, like I want to use that word, trumps the thought process. Also, when we write our words down, we can edit them and really check, what are we really creating here? And shall we add some things to our creation or subtract some things or restate it in a way that is all positive? So I love the written journaling. It gives us a little more flexibility than our mind, which in a dream state at night is all over the place, right? We can imagine a squirrel chasing us, a giant squirrel in the middle of the night. It's amazing what our minds can do. So then we have to sort through that and say, this is what I'm calling in.
Right.
So our journaling and our asking helps really channel with our words. So that the universe was set up before the beginning of time. The mankind came after the universe was complete. We can go out there and pull on the cosmic energy, we call it, at any time. And that's the fun. And so when we bring it down to a business note, I say to all business owners, keep your eye on the victory. So if you have a company, it's your end number that you're focusing on, or your end amount of clients that you're focusing on. It's your dream for it to be syndicated, or your dream for it to be expanded or merged or whatever. That's your dream. So somebody has to pay somebody to hold that dream. We call it, stay in prayer over it. Somebody has to keep holding. Yes, we're getting there. Oh yeah, that's it. This is the vision, the focus vision, the absolute. Some humanity shall hold on the absolute at all times. It's kind of like your anchor when you're playing tug of war, right? You need that anchor person with the rope around, and you want it the biggest person with the most weight so they can hold no matter what this is doing in the middle. So when you've got the anchor there, holding the vision,
Lenka just made a very big click.
Yeah, just listening to you, that's what we do with our clients as their coaches. I would say that we are the most positive. We're like the cheerleaders, constantly saying what you said, like, yes, you can do it, and you're on the right track, and you're gonna get it. That's what we do with our clients. Every single week when we talk to them, we are reaffirming them that, yes, you're on the right track, you're gonna get it. You're the only person who can create that for yourself. So that's why coaching or having mentors by your side, it's so powerful. They will always remind you of that goal that you have in your mind, of that winning moment.
They remove the vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all humans being distracted by small things that are sometimes not as important as the bigger vision. And our minds go so easily, especially when we are tired, to that tunnel where there is no positive end, rather than steering our attention back to what is really important, what we are creating for ourselves. And that's why having coaches and supporters and cheerleaders and fans on your team is so important, because they are there reminding you, like, okay, wake up, this is not the reality, you are creating this.
One of the things that I mention to everybody who has a business is make your target like a arrow target that you're shooting arrows at, and put your bullseye, and you can put your other rings, whatever those are. So they could be financial bullseye or what the vision of the business. And then you make those rings, and I want you to post it literally in every room. You can make copies of it. The idea is every time you walk in, the first stop is to keep knowing what the bullseye is.
Yeah.
So like Lanka is saying, that in a day, if you're in a room and there's no bullseye there, even though you're the one who came up with the bullseye, we start throwing arrows all over the place. Mm. And most people in our lives, in our true lives, what is the bullseye? What is the target? After a while, we're so busy in our heads and in our lives that what are our targets? That's why the asking becomes so important, is I know my bullseye. I know the stock price, even the price of all my stocks as the bullseye. So keep having, what is your bullseye? What does retirement look like for you? If retirement is a bullseye, some people want to work forever. Then what does work forever look like for you? And then what are those additional rings, like the ripples of the water that go out? And each one of them should have some kind of writing in them, so that you know that when you wake up in the morning, what is the purpose? What is it? And keep your eye on the bullseye. Keep your eye first on your entire target, and then on the bullseye, and really say, okay, it's all right that a few arrows went to the right and a few of them went to the left, right? And some of them fell on the floor before they even got to the target itself. The idea is the target becomes everything. So that absolute focus happens when you're very clear with your targets. And writing and journaling helps us become very clear. The journaling also helps, like Lanka, you said, is that it shows us the small victories. It shows us that we're getting closer and closer to our bullseye, to our target. And then you can celebrate those arrows that are just, they hit, but maybe they didn't stick, but they hit the target, or they hit the bullseye. They might have fallen. Next time you know that you have to change your stance a little bit, or you have to pull the bow back a little further, or you have to blow a little harder at it to get it to stick. Whatever it is, but you get there. You know how to adjust. I say this, and I say it very clearly, because you're young people, and I'm in my 50s. The stronger you've got your target put up there, and the more you call on the power of the entire universe, that's like the blowing. You just need a little bit more, and it can stick in there. So call on the power of the universe. It is so amazing. And of course, you can work as much as you'd like, because people love to work. It's great. Work, do all that cool stuff. Create. Make sure that every room you go in has your target posted, has your bullseye there, that it's right out, that everybody around you knows that your eye is going to be on that bullseye at all times. And it's all right if some arrows go crazy and don't even make it near your target. The idea is, it's just, you're going to leave them live. You're not going to run, all these arrows that fell. You're going to say, keep shooting. We know our target. Someday we're going to get there, right? And so and there's people that enjoy, because it's an addiction to the shiny things. They're so busy saying, I'm going to count the ones that didn't make it. And get discouraged, right?
Yeah.
So it's all right. I say, let them all lie. Don't even look at them again. Just laugh about it and say, so in America, we had our baseball player, Babe Ruth, and this was said many times. He made the most home runs in his day and age, and that was because he also struck out the most of any other player. So the idea is, he went up to bat more than anybody else, and he swung that bat more than anybody else. Mm-hmm. So it's okay. Let's let the strikeouts go, because the goal was to make the most home runs. And he did whatever it took to make the most home runs. So it also was that he swung the bat more than anybody else, and he also struck out then more than anybody else. He did get the goal. So focus on the goal. Stay on your target. 100% of the time, stay on the target. So ask, edit your words, be 100% confident that if you stay on your target, you're going to get there. And when you call in the power of the entire universe and you have a second battery or a second charge, I do agree that when you're going into business, find somebody, groom somebody, call on somebody, ask the second person in line. If you have a business and it's only you, close the business for a month and find a partner. And it is just somebody who can be there with the eye on the target with you. The minute you come back with two people, everything shifts, because that's the power of the universe. And in Christianity, we understand, why did God make a Trinity, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God? Why couldn't it just be one? Because the universe was set up before the beginning of time, and even God listens to the universe that he set up. And that is that molecules move when there's more than one energy or batteries coming together. So I love the example of taking our flashlight out of the kitchen drawer, and our flashlights, most of them need 2 batteries or more. And that light, with you put 1 battery in, that light is not turning on until you put the second, third, fourth batteries in. Then you've got the light, and the newer the batteries are, the more power they have, the shinier the light is, the brighter it shines. So that's one of the realities of this universe, is there's 2 or 3 come together in my name, there I shall be also. That's what the biblical verse says. And that's exactly said for the power of the universe to be harnessed and used. It's so beautiful. It's brilliant when we just do the simple realities of how this place was set up, the playing field that we live on, and we stick within it.
One question that I had is, when did you make that switch from material world to immaterial? When did you decide to completely change the perspective on how you perceive the world? Or was it something that you've always done?
Well, that's a very beautiful question. And for me, I was able to, we all come in with our gifts, like Beethoven could just play the piano at 5. I came in knowing that maybe I'm going to use this word, and it's very true. I like life to be light and easy. And so my little mind said, oh my goodness, what would be the easiest way I could go through this life, where I could have the most fun, games. I'm a physical person. My personality is, it's all about having fun. So when other people want to work hard, I looked and said, gosh, I'd like to have fun, easy, light. And so I'm going to take the easiest road possible. And when I realized that God road, the universe road, the power of the cosmos road, gosh, if it's all free, I'm in. And so as a little kid, I was just like, gosh. And then I started saying things like, I would go to a beautiful house with a swimming pool. And I said, boy, I from Wisconsin, where I'm from, it's a lot of winter. So there's very seldom you go to a home with a swimming pool. And I said, boy, this would be nice. I'd like to get in that pool, in the summertime. That sure would be nice. And my aunt said, oh, we're looking at a house. She came over to our house the next day. She said, I'm looking for a house to buy in the neighborhood. And I'm thinking, got my aunt in there. I'd have that swimming pool to swim in, right? And so she said, we really looked at a house and it was very nice. And I said, I know the exact house you looked at, because now I'm staying in the dream, right? And she bought the house. And I didn't have to go again, right? I pulled the whole universe and said, I would like to have myself in that pool. And I can remember when they filled up the pool the first time, it was freezing cold hose water. It wasn't even full yet. I jumped in. I was just saying, I had to live my dream. And I started seeing things that like my neighbors, I heard some noise, and we remember, we make cookies that are beautiful batches, and we also burn a lot of batches, and we've created all of it. So be aware of that. This is still creation power, the burn cookies. It's beautiful. So then one day I heard some noise and the neighbors behind us, it was late at night, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe there's somebody doing some havoc in their house over there. And the next day I woke up and the neighbors were robbed. Okay, so now there was a thought that I let my dream state go into, and I burned some cookies. This happened just recently, yet again. My children were in a play, and it was Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, middle of the light, and we have very safe neighborhoods here. And I was pulling my husband's car into the parking spot, and I said, I'm going to move because I think that this spot is, and here's this funny shiny word, right? Unsafe. How bizarre. I pull 10 feet away across into the other spot. Friends came to the show, parked in that spot, the first spot, and got their purse taken from their car. I know I'm going to own it because I declared that spot unsafe. Why? That is the only thing ever taken out of that entire parking lot. We've been parking in there for 10 years. Okay? I created the word unsafe. So I watch our minds, right? Watch the creation power of good cookies and the creation power of the other cookies. So now, wow, I go back in. So when you think a funny thought, then you have to go back and say, cancel, 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 like an eraser on the whiteboard. What I really mean is it's all wonderful and great, and we're going to go have a good show. So make sure you go back in when we have goofy thoughts to imprint them with glory and wonder and awesome. So as a child, I played with this back and forth. And then somebody really showed me more about the quantum world. And they proposed this interesting idea. When I got to be about 20, it was so interesting. They said, do you know, this is so interesting. If you say there's only a yes, then there's not a possibility for any energy around you to say no. And I thought, wow, that's bizarre. So I'm going to try it. I made this wonderful example. I was going to my sister's graduation, and I asked this gentleman to join me, a young guy, and he was the nephew of a good friend of mine who was a movie producer. And I went out to lunch that day, the day before the graduation, and I had not heard back from him at all. And his uncle said, oh, my nephew called and he's not coming. And so I said, oh, is that really interesting that he said that? Oh, is it so? And the next day I got all ready. My girlfriend said, come on, the uncle said that he's not going to show up. Why are you getting all ready and waiting till 8 o'clock exactly when you said to pick you up? I said, he'll walk up the stairs at 8 o'clock because I've only allowed a yes into the universe. So it's funny because at 8 o'clock, my brother's standing there, my girlfriend's standing there, ready to see what the universe is going to do. And he came up the stairs at 8 o'clock, running up the stairs saying, oh, I'm sorry I was a minute late because I had to get a bigger car because you said your brother's coming with us. And, I only have a 2-seater car. And if your friend and your brother are coming, I had to rent a bigger car. So that really showed me at 21 years old. I was 21 at the time. My little sister just graduated. And I said, wow, isn't that amazing? That is so amazing that the universe shows up with our command. And I started really letting that be. And I played with the universe, and and I made goofy things. Oh, this person's gonna just fall in love with me just because I want it for fun. And I'd be sitting in a meeting and they would say, you're so beautiful. They'd stop the meeting. And I'd say, and I'm be really into the meeting, like, oh, that's so distracting. Why is that person saying that? And then goofy things that I remember once he said, even my wife would say, you're so beautiful. And I was very much into a meeting. It was at Nickelodeon. And I was saying, why is this guy going on about this? This is ridiculous. And then I remembered what I thought in the parking lot and what my mind commanded in the parking lot just for fun. I'd say, oh, okay, cancel. Let's get on with the meeting. So it was really fun because I saw how I could play with the whole universe and how it all shows up. And the same with you sitting down, right, when we met. So even when I sit down for lunch, I sit with an intention. And let's use a better word. I sit with an absolute focus. So every moment of my life, every hour that I can think through it for just a moment, I go forth with an absolute focus. And when I speak the word with an absolute focus, so it's not just a thought, I actually welcome in. So I probably said out loud to Keith, who was sitting across from me when you two sat next to me, let's leave that beautiful space and wonderful people will sit next to us. All right. So once I spoke it out loud, because I had thought the intention, then I used words and I spoke it out loud, it immediately happened, right? Then you and I met, Lanka, immediately, within a moment of declaring that thought. Of course, because we were all coming at the same time, that's when you came.
Yes.
And what an interesting thought you said. My husband will so much enjoy you. You met me for 30 seconds. Right? So it's really fun is that in 30 seconds,
yes,
that the answer was already answered. And more than just, can we sit here, right?
Yeah.
The fact is that you were able to sum up and to second the motion with, oh, my husband's going to so enjoy sitting here next to you. And wow, that declaration is why we're still here this moment, right?
Yeah.
And Alexander, you're still enjoying, right? You made the declaration, and I was there, and all I said was seconding it by saying it's interesting, leaving my heart and mind wide open.
Yes.
So is it so? Another way to say it is it so? And so we just open it up because everything can be so. And I love it. Have some good sentences and always have a nice, when I say comeback, a nice open seconding. That's why when you say you're welcome, I love it when somebody says thank you and you say you're welcome. It's keeping it open for another creation to happen that's beautiful. Versus the word no problem. Many times when somebody says thank you, the answer in America becomes now no problem. It prior to this decade, it used to be you're welcome. Opening up to, is it so? Very interesting. Even allowing there to be more interest or more flow. So watch your own vocabulary. That's one of the key points to this encounter together here, is that we allow the opportunity for our listeners to really open their hearts to listen to themselves. Are the words coming out of your mouth typical phrases that no worries, I don't blame you, not bad? How about we say it is good? How about God's blessings on you, or beautiful day to you, or wonderful thought? Let's have more good thoughts. So could we just take some of these shiny negative thoughts, words that we have, they're just coming in and out of us without thought. Let's get some intention behind them. Let's get some focus, some absolute focus behind them, and keeping the words and our responses very beautiful and open. And that's why even just saying thank you or bless you, or and when somebody sneezes, it's interesting where they kind of have a little hiccup in their moment, and that's why this God bless you came about, so that they could come back into peace and harmony. Everything that we say as part of our group here, we have the Million True Millionaires group that we're forming and enjoying, is that we've made a pact with each other that we are going to be enlightening and welcoming, and we're going to think about what we're thinking and what we're saying, and we're going to make as many good batches of cookies with our tongue that we can in our thoughts, and be willing to throw away the burned batches. So if we've had phrases that we love to use, please just give yourself an opportunity to throw them away and come up with something that might be more uplifting. So let me ask that to you two. Have there been any phrases that through this process of knowing us and training that you've set aside?
Wow, there's
Many.
there's been so many, because everything you've been saying about using positive words and how words create, it resonates with us. So from that point on, we've been planting red flags in our subconscious, in our awareness, for basically any negative word that came out of our mouth. I love the phrases you used as an example. replacing no problem with always welcome. Things like that have been very, very powerful for us. And it also created an awareness of our own emotions. So what happened for me over the past half year since meeting you and understanding all of this is that even by using words that are not positive, I feel a shift in my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I feel a physical change happening, and it's not an empowering one. So taking all of that together, we've become both very aware of the words that come out of our mouth, of the thoughts that we think, and every now and then when something like a bad batch happens, we find a way to replace it. Almost instantly we think about what else could this have been.
For me, it was also a realization that my mom taught me a lot of this when I was really little, though I didn't understand it really properly. Such things as, everything happens for a good reason. It is just so true. It is just so true. Like we talk about before we recorded this podcast about setbacks. And when you look at it only from the perspective of, this, what I thought is the good thing, didn't really happen. There is something else waiting for me and is way better and it's probably way much more suitable for me. That just opens your eyes and it gets you out of this tunnel vision. So for me it was and is still just reaffirmation of the things that my mom tried to teach me when I was very little and how it works. And it brings me to a different level of self-reflection. So we correct our words so often throughout our days and we don't punish ourselves for that. It's like when I speak it, I hear myself, I immediately correct myself. And it gives me this nice, bright feeling of, yes, I can did it. And I was aware of that and I'm conscious of what I speak. So those are small rewards also throughout the day. So, yeah.
Right. So we call it like reprogramming our own brains. We're actually making new neural pathways in our own brain to, number one, like you said, identify that something could be said better, that we actually meant a positive thing, but we spoke it the opposite. And then let's rephrase it. So what I really mean is, and then just take a moment and say, how am I going to say that positive? And then rephrase it into a beautiful positive. That becomes so powerful. It's beautiful. And that you catch yourself. And then sometimes you have some thoughts that are real doozers. And you say, what's going on up there? And you actually say to your own mind, get a grip. We're going north here. Positive, get a grip. And you actually, and then sometimes we're chasing the shiny objects around the room. And you say, wait. Stay focused. I have a target. Let's get back on path here. So what's fun is you're kind of like the horse trainer of your own brain. And sometimes you say, put the blinders on. We're going towards the target here. You're getting all over the place. You're turning your head right and left and up and down when we really know where we're going. We know exactly where we're going. Put the little blinders on for a moment. In our way, God says to us, keep your eyes on me. Keep your eyes on the power that I have given you, that is the whole cosmos, the whole universe can offer you. Keep your eyes there. Let those arrows that didn't make to the target lie. Keep your eyes on the target. Just pull one more time. Swing the bat again. Swing the bat 100 more times. It's easy to swing the bat. We're young. We're able. So the idea is when we can just correct ourselves. It's that simple, like you said. And then even more beautiful when you can put a better word in. So I actually have to sit down sometimes and say, what do I really mean here? And I give myself 5 minutes, you call it couch time. I sit down and I say, that didn't feel so good how I handled that or how I spoke that. What do I really mean here? What would be a better way to live that, to say that, to think that? And I come up with a solution so that the next time I'm in that situation, I now have a rehearsed, planned way to handle it, way to think, way to make my heart feel good about it, way to speak it out, and then I can go forth. And that way my mind now has a new neural pathway. So the brain is like a big field, And we've all kind of gotten lazy, and we go down the trampled path that we've trampled through the use of things our parents have told us, the teachers, religious systems, government systems have told us. And we have these pathways that are cut, and they're other people's pathways, but now they're in our grass. And what if we just decided that there's more efficient ways, and you're an efficiency expert, Alexander, there's more efficient ways to get done exactly what we would like to have happen in our bullseye. And now we just say, okay, it might take a little more consciousness for a short time to trample a new pathway, but it's well worth it. And so you go into a business, that's what you do, and you help them trample a direct path, and then eventually the grass will grow back around the ones that they've trampled that kind of were zigzag and maybe getting them there less efficiently, etc. So these new pathways are part of what Million True Millionaire Group, which I encourage everybody who listens to this to join immediately. It's by invitation through us. So contact Alexander and Lanka or myself, that we become a group where people have the consciousness we just spoke about for an hour, that we've already mastered it, and will help any of those that wish to be mastered it. And that consciousness is how you can, like Lanka asked, pull on the entire universe to come help us, because the universe is positive, and it just is, and it flows lovingly and easily, and it looks at only the goal. And if the few stars fall out of the sky, oh well, it stays with all the billions that are still there. and more and more and more and more. So the few arrows that fell, it doesn't get confused, right? It stays its course. It stays its course. We too can stay our course, and we can pull and harness all that power that can just surge right through us. And our minds can get better pathways cut, direct pathways that are loving and fun and wonderful and friendly. And being part of a group like the Million True Millionaires is going to be so wonderful for all to share, especially for the ones of us who have already taken the months that you have, 6 months, and checked your own neural pathways and your own thought processes and your own word processes, and your own self saying, do I, just like your mother said, Lanka, am I saying that there's a greater good? Mm-hmm. So for every arrow that falls, that's great, because now I'm making way for the greater good. And I'm welcoming in with even more cheerleading pom-poms the greater good, because it shows me that the greater good is right here. That's why those arrows fell, because the greater good is now present. And that's your better client, like you said, or your better contract, or whatever it is in your situation. So those arrows will fall when something's blocking it, and what's blocking it is your greater good, the better situation, the better client, the better deal, the more money. So cheer when you swing that bat, because you're getting that much closer to your home run. Yeah, and do the happy dance, and then you'll see, gosh, I'm so glad that all those arrows fell, because here it is now. I can see the greater good. It's like right in my forehead.
I love it. I can listen to you for hours. Your new book is going to come out in the future as well.
Yes, in the very near future. Connect to the Light, and we have Ask and You Shall Receive. The authors Receive Joy, that's our pen name, Sylvie Lehman and Carisa Jones, under Receive Joy. I also encourage all the listeners to this to write into you, Alexander, and to write their questions, so that the next times we get together, we can actually answer questions, and that we will send an email to them so they can listen in and get their question answered.
Brilliant.
Exactly. People can contact us always at info@earnmoreworkless.com. So any questions for Carisa are more than welcome.
Was this a game changer or what? As you have heard, we too follow the steps that Carisa and her partner Sylvie outline in their amazing book, Ask and You Shall Receive. And we love the moments when we suddenly realize that what we asked for was fulfilled. The first step to success is to have an open mind. Listen to people who want to help you achieve your goals. Whatever your religion is, whatever you believe in, God, Buddha, universe, love, whatever it is, the name is not what matters here. What matters is the energy and a strong focus on the positive. Victory is the only way.
Do you have a question that you'd like to ask Carisa? Send it to us on Facebook so we make sure that in the next episode we record with Carisa, she will answer your question. And now go to receivejoy.com and order the amazing Ask and You Shall Receive book and journal. This book is the very first book containing only positive words. A must read when you want to live a light and easy life. When you want to live in flow and achieve your goals faster than ever, these are the principles you need. This gets you in the right mindset so that you start every day with gratitude, joy, faith, and courage.
We promise a special offer for all of our listeners who want to stand out and show their brand to the world. Our marketing wizard, Blackpool Marketing, made special packages for those who want to get more real Facebook followers on your page. Your influence starts with brand awareness. The people who first see your social media page will look at the amount of followers to see how credible you are. So build your brand awareness and get thousands of real likes and followers on social media. Click on the link below and get 1 week completely for free when enrolling with Blackpool Marketing. And what was the number one insight of the day? Just let us know on our Facebook page and inspire others to learn and share. Recommend this podcast to your friends who want to create life of their dreams and impact lives of others.
We really loved this episode. Carisa always helps you to get the right mindset and energy. She is living proof that her principles work, so it would be crazy not to go and give it a real try. We keep on following her advice and we enjoy the benefits, and we want the same for you. We want your life to be light and easy. So, are you ready to manifest your dreams into reality? Don't miss a single episode. Stay inspired and subscribe to our podcast on earnmoreworkless.com/podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Now go out, influence people, and have fun.